on the Hill. I'm Katie Benoit.
And I'm Monica Ortiz. Thanks for waking up with us today. Here are this morning's top stories.
We'll tell you why some SU graduate students are speaking out against the new tax reform.
See why the menus at SU dining centers are getting high marks from an animal rights group.
And what is it like to have a four-legged friend here on campus? We'll talk with some student pet owners.
Those stories and much more coming up on Mornings on the Hill.
Our top story, the Republican-backed tax reform has been making headlines across the country.
Here on campus, graduate students recently rallied against the bill and the tax increases it could mean for them. Mornings on the Hill, Isabel Sanchez has the story.
Two of their other children now? Like, that's crazy.
Ashley Burrows is a grad student
See that? No, let me see.
and an instructional assistant for Newhouse.
Basically, just help out students like with editing their packages or any questions that they have with Premiere.
Although hours are limited, the job means a lot to her.
I honestly probably wouldn't be going here if I didn't have this job.
And now, after the Senate passed the GOP tax bill, Burrows and many other working graduate students could be facing major challenges that could put in jeopardy their education.
Right now, TAs and IAs receive partial tuition credits, and this is not taxable. However, under the new proposal by the GOP, this will become taxable income, increasing the amount of money students have to pay in taxes by up to 400%.
I don't think that this bill is right because it's basically putting me in the hole for something that I don't have money I don't have in my account.
And many other students across the country feel the same way.
Isn't that right?
Yeah! Demonstrations against the bill have popped up in campuses from coast to coast, including Syracuse University. Burrows hopes that lawmakers reconsider the bill to avoid making even more complicated the access to higher education.
To know what to do, I think I'd be more stressed out more than anything and try to figure out other ways how I would pay that. So I probably would have to get another job to pay that off.
For Mornings on the Hills, I'm Isabel Sanchez.
And now it's time to take a look at the weather. Looking at the next few days, temperature will stay the same through the weekend in the upper 30s, but according to the National Weather Service, it will drop back down into the 20s starting next week on Sunday. There could be some snow showers on Sunday in Syracuse going through the next week until Thursday. There's also snow possible in the northern region of New York State. With temperature dipping into the 20s, it looks like it may be time to break out the winter jackets.
I definitely think so. It's going to get pretty cold up here, so hopefully kids can go home and get their winter jackets if they don't have them here yet.
Yeah, or ask for one for Christmas since Christmas is coming up.
Definitely.
That could work too.
The Fashion Association of Design students are hard at work this semester creating pieces for their winter fashion show.
The club consists of mostly fashion students in BPA at SU who design their own pieces.
The club meets weekly throughout the year and promotes creativity on campus. There were over 130 people that attended this year's show.
The club tries to hold a show every year to showcase student designs. Even though the organization is mostly fashion students, there are plenty of ways to get involved.
Different ends of the stuff. We have people, doing photography. We have people doing communications, whether it's promotional work, behind the scenes, helping with fittings and models. There's people from all angles, so.
Awesome. For the second year in a row, SU Food Services have received an A+ rating for its vegan food selections in the dining centers.
The grade comes from PETA, People for Ethical Treatment of Animals, and this year they surveyed more than 1,400 universities across the U.S. While the dining centers are gaining approval for vegan food selections, one SU student isn't happy with options for non-vegans.
Doesn't mean I'm not a vegetarian or a vegan or something like that. So they have a lot of options for people like that. For me, I'm picky to the point that I like specific things, and if they don't have that, then I don't leave satisfied because I'm not going to be able to get exactly what I want or what I need to feel, ready and good to go.
You can visit foodservices.syr.edu to see the daily menus and nutrition information.
There is an effort underway to recruit more teachers of color in Syracuse public school classrooms.
Mornings on the Hill reporter Alana Selden introduces us to one young educator who is determined to make a difference. Many students might like to have their pets from home here on campus, but Have you ever considered how much it would take and how to balance it with your schoolwork? Well, we'll have that story coming up as two pet owners talk about balancing pet care with a busy schedule.
And coming up in sports, the Orange take on UConn at Madison Square Garden. We'll have the highlights. Stay with us.
December marks the start of the holiday season, and for college students it also means final season. But the Erie Canal Museum downtown gives students a way to step away from campus and get in the holiday spirit.
The 32nd Annual Gingerbread Gallery is on display at the Erie Boulevard East. The room on the second floor is filled with 36 gingerbread creations, all of which are edible. Local bakers created the displays, and visitors of the gallery are encouraged to vote for their favorites. It's open every day, and some students are taking advantage during this stressful time of year.
But coming to an event like this, having holiday spirited, holiday themed, events in Syracuse is something so enticing for a student because it makes you, reminded that you can have stress relievers. There is things going on outside of just your typical schoolwork, and it's just a really nice break from all that.
The gallery is open daily from 10 a.m. until 5 p.m. The Shaped Clay Society here on campus recently held its Christmas pottery sale.
Both undergrad and graduate students from the ceramics program took part.
The organization puts on 2 different sales throughout the year, one each semester. The sale was created to raise scholarships for the club, bring in speakers, and help to fund a trip to a national ceramics conference.
All the pieces that were being sold were created by students in the club. The sale also included cards and other handmade goods. Quite a bite, though, and time goes into making some of the products.
And it takes a couple days. Some pieces go in the kiln and it can take up to a week to fire. So there's a couple days worth, at least a couple days, if not a week's worth of work involved in the making process. And then it goes into a kiln for what's called a bisque firing. And then it comes out of the bisque firing, and then you have to decorate it or glaze it. And then it goes back in for the glaze fire. And again, that can be anywhere from a day-long firing to a week-long fire.
The Office of Health Promotion at Syracuse paired up with Pet Partners of Central New York to bring together dogs and students in the midst of a busy week.
As part of the initiative called Be Well SU, Syracuse University hosts Therapy Dog Thursday to help students de-stress from school. There were 3 dogs and over 50 students that came out, but each got the chance to pet one of the dogs. The students said having tests can make it hard to find time to relax, but being able to hang out with the dogs gives them just that chance.
Just literally sign up, and then we come and volunteer our time and her time, and hopefully it makes somebody's day.
I'm a huge dog lover, and then I also just had an exam, so it was also perfect timing to de-stress and then come here, pet some dogs, and relax. And they don't know about your stress; so they just help you feel de-stressed.
This semester is coming to a close, and that means it's crunch time for students.
Our Frank DeLuca is live in the studio to tell us how classwork isn't the only responsibility for some students.
Yeah, the finals workload can be a lot, staying up late to study, spending hours writing papers in front of that computer, and of course, cleaning out the litter box. That last one might not apply to all of us, but some students have to balance to get their work done with owning a pet. This is Ed Sheeran, the cat. He may be cute, but he can also be difficult.
It's definitely hard. We wanted a puppy at first, and I knew that would be way too much work, so we got a kitten. But even raising a kitten, he's just very mischievous, and we can't leave him alone for too long, so it's definitely stressful knowing that we have to make sure his litter is clean and he's not climbing on the counters and everything while you're trying to get work done.
And while pets are fun to have around, there are pitfalls to having one at school with you.
It's definitely hard when you have to go home for the weekends. I have relatives who are allergic to kittens, so it makes it hard for him to go home. I think a lot of students get pets and then realize they can't go home with them. And even maintaining an apartment that we're on a lease on, we have a leather couch and he's clawed through the whole thing, so that's probably coming out of our security deposit.
Other students go for pets that are a little less maintenance, but even that is not a walk in the park.
I knew getting a hedgehog wouldn't be too much of a commitment like a cat or a dog. But it is still kind of work. It's not like you never do anything for the hedgehog. It's your pet. You got to really take care of it. You got to clean the cage often, probably every other day.
If you are interested in having a pet on campus, read up on it first, do some extra homework, and make sure that you're ready for it. Live in the studio, I'm Frank DeLuca from Mornings on the Hill. Back to you.
Syracuse men's basketball is looking to continue its hot start, and the women's team tries to remain undefeated.
Our Matt St. Jean is live in the studio with this week's Orange Sports Update.
What's up, Syracuse? I'm Matt St. Jean with your Orange Sports Update. The last time Syracuse squared off with UConn in Madison Square Garden, the game went into 6 overtimes. The game didn't last that long, but the end result was the same, an Orange victory. SU defeated their former Big East rival 72-63. Sophomore Tyus Battle led the team in points for the 7th game this season with 22. Syracuse got a big lift from freshman forward Matthew Moyer, who poured in 18 points, snagged 8 rebounds on the night, and had 2 monster jams. After the game, the freshman walked reporters through one of his vicious throwdowns.
And Moyer's career night continues.
I think it was something happened where Frank was on the wing and I was in the corner, and there was somebody under the rim, and he went and boxed out Frank on the wing. I'm like, are you kidding me? So I just went in and jumped, and the ball came off and just threw it down. Yeah.
Threw down indeed. The Orange improved to 7-1 on the season. They take on the Colgate Raiders at the Dome on Saturday at 2 o'clock. Staying on the hardwood, the SU women's basketball team survived a scare from the Stony Brook Seawolves to remain undefeated on Sunday. SU looked to be in cruise control, going on a 15-0 run to begin the game. Stony Brook went on a run of their own in the second, coming all the way back to take the lead going into halftime. The Seawolves held a 5-point advantage with 40 seconds left. Then Tiana Mungakahia went to work. The Australian native scored the final 6 points, including the buzzer-beating layup to force overtime. With momentum on their side, the Orange outscored Stony Brook 12-1 in OT to win 81-70. At 8-0, Coach Q has a message for those who doubted this team.
We never thought it was an every building season. So if we would have bought into that line, we wouldn't be 8-0 right now. Our players have a lot of confidence in their abilities, and I have a ton of confidence in them because I recruited them.
The women's team is back in the Dome tonight at 7 versus Colgate. The women's volleyball team season has come to a close. In the National Invitational Volleyball Championship quarterfinals on Monday, senior Belle Sand had a team-high 16 digs, while senior Amber Witherspoon notched 8 kills and 6 blocks in the match. But the game was all Mountaineers. West Virginia's Peyton Carey sent home 19 kills on the match. But SU enjoyed a bounce-back season after only winning 7 games in 2016. The Orange ended the season with a 22-14 record. While Sand graduates this year, SU could see 13 players return to the court next season. Over on the ice, the women's hockey team fell to defending national champion Clarkson 5-0 last night at Kennedy Ice Pavilion. The Orange battled with Clarkson for most of the first period, but with a little under 5 minutes to play, the Golden Knights erupted for 3 goals. Clarkson continued the onslaught in the second period, scoring a goal within the first minute of the puck dropping. They ripped the back of the net again towards the end of the period to extend the lead to 5. The Orange will look to bounce back on the road for a pair of games against Mercyhurst starting this Friday. 5 Syracuse football players received all ACC honors this week. Steve Ishmael was a unanimous first-team All-ACC selection after hauling in 105 receptions for nearly 1,350 yards and 7 touchdowns. Linebacker Paris Bennett and wide receiver Irv Phillips got the nod for second-team honors, while kicker Cole Murphy was named to the third team. Senior captain linebacker Zaire Franklin received an honorable mention for his performance this season. And that's all you need to know for sports. Reporting for Mornings on the Hill, I'm Matt St. Jean. Back to you, Monica and Katie.
There's an effort underway to recruit more teachers of color in Syracuse public school classrooms.
Mornings on the Hill reporter Alana Selden introduced us to one young educator who is determined to make a difference.
How much they're growing from the first day to now about the 4th or 5th week. Students that could barely write or could barely read or talk now are progressing and doing much, much better and more. So it shows me that I'm doing my job and I'm making a difference in another student's life.
Stacia Dunkley is a 3rd grade teacher at Dr. King Elementary and a new Urban Fellow. She says she was encouraged to apply to the program because it allowed her to be someone the students could relate to.
More of our black students need more black leaders and teachers to see, to have a model. If they don't have that role model, then they're not going to want to do better.
And that's the role that you think you play for your students?
Definitely, definitely.
Although reports show that nearly half of the students in Syracuse schools like Dr. Martin Luther King Magnet Elementary School are black, only 5% of those teachers in the same schools are as well.
That made it obvious to us that we needed to do something different.
Scott Persampieri, Director of Recruitment and Selection for the Syracuse City School District, says they've hired 30 new teachers of color through the Urban Fellowship Program since its launch last September.
We were looking to design a program that was going to attract high-quality teaching candidates who would come to us with a passion for urban teaching, perhaps an expertise in urban teaching, and so that was really the driver behind the program, to really diversify the teaching staff.
Although the diversity gap still exists, Persampieri says the program makes strides to ensure schools break the barrier.
This is a step in the right direction. It's part of a larger strategy of things that we need to continue to try to recruit good teachers for the district.
I'm Alana Selden, reporting for Mornings on the Hill.
Some of the most prominent men in the media and entertainment industry are facing allegations of sexual misconduct in the workplace.
So can these men repair their public images? Our Brooke Minahan is live in the studio with the Newhouse professor to talk about that. Good morning, Brooke.
Thanks, Monica and Katie. I'm here with Anthony D'Angelo, a professor of public relations and the director of the communications program here at Newhouse. Thanks so much for joining us this morning. Good to have you.
Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. So, as we know, more than a dozen men have been accused of sexual misconduct, harassment, assault in this industry in the last few months. Bill O'Reilly, Matt Lauer, Harvey Weinstein, just to name a few. But it's existed in the media industry for years. Why is it now just coming to the light?
I think we're seeing a cultural tipping point with the sheer number of revelations that have come out over the last year, and the fact that I think women are finally in a position where they can courageously speak out and be credible and be recognized has changed the game, and I think that's a very positive thing. And today, I think all of us are hard put to even list the number of men who have been accused and have lost their jobs and have been forced to apologize.
Absolutely. Speaking of being forced to apologize, what are ways that, are they able to repair their image at all? And if so, how do they go about doing that?
That depends on a lot of factors. There's an old saying that you can't talk your way out of a situation that you behaved your way into. And they have to, first of all, apologize to the victim. That has to be a personal message. They have to make amends. They have to change their behavior. They may have to go away for a while and not be employed and work on themselves. And with consistent behavior over time, I think that the American public can be very forgiving. They may not forget the transgression, but if they truly believe that the effort is authentic, they may have another chance.
I was going to say, you say that the American public can be forgiving, but we can also be very judgmental. Are those people, there are other people on the opposite side who don't even care what these people are doing to fix their image?
Yes.
What do you think about those people?
Well, we are very judgmental. And also, in today's 24/7 media world, our reactions are instant. Reputations are built over time. So part of it is there's always a firestorm when the revelation is out there, but what happens over the long haul through repeated behavior? And that really has much more to do with somebody's ongoing reputation, their personal brand, if you will.
So what's the next step that people in our industry have to do to prevent this from continuing happening?
I think it's happening now. This morning, Time Magazine named as Person of the Year the women who have spoken out, and I forget what they're calling them.
The silence breakers.
The silence
Yes.
breakers, thank you, which I think is fantastic. There's also an organization called Press Forward that's been founded by women journalists to make sure that there's a zero tolerance policy for sexual misconduct in the workplace. And I think, by the way, my personal hope for Time's Person of the Year would have been the journalist, because I think that the journalism industry has done a terrific job of outing itself, of showing the kind of transparency that will make for cultural change, and I think that's what's happening. I don't think there will be a retreat from this.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We really appreciate it. Back to you, Katie and Monica.
We'll be right back. imagine playing sports with your professor?
If you're taking a common law class here in Newhouse, that might happen. Our Rafael Freitas joins us now with that story.
Hello, Monica and Katie. That's right. I had the chance to talk with a media law professor who's also a manager and a coach of a sports team at the same time. Let's take a look.
The first Copyright Act from 1790, the first Federal Copyright Act, protected intellectual property for 14 years.
Copyright, trademarks, First Amendment, papers, and grades. That is the regular life for a media law professor in Syracuse, right? No. What if we told you that Roy Gutterman is not only a media law professor, but also president, manager, and player on a sports team? Every Thursday, there's a substitution on Gutterman's life. The ball goes out, and the ball comes in. On the soccer field, Gutterman plays on the defense and also has duties as coach.
I've been playing my whole life, and it's a good way to stay in shape. It's a good way to meet students, and it's a lot of fun. It's the highlight of my week. Gutterman is responsible for the Newhouse Seagulls, a student team that he has headed for a long time. I actually inherited the team from a graduate student 10 years ago. He mentioned he was putting together a team for the intramurals, and he said that I should play as a has-been former retired soccer player. So I signed up, he graduated, and I kept the team going. On the ball! Somebody on the ball!
Some students divide the classroom and the soccer field with Professor Gutterman.
It's unique, you know Gutterman in the classroom as the comm law professor who knows his stuff, and then you get on the soccer field and he knows his stuff. It's just all about soccer and football, and it's really, really an interesting experience.
That ball when you played it out.
I'm so used to just saying professor this, professor that, and like now I'm just calling him Roy. And you build that kind of bond with the person, and it makes it like he's a teacher, but he's also a friend.
Are you tired, Professor?
Yeah.
That's it. Thanks for me.
Well, finals week is coming up, so a lot of students are probably studying and getting ready for tests and finishing up some project, but there's still a lot going on here on campus. So let's take a look at the events coming up this weekend here on the Hill. Tonight, the Syracuse women's basketball team hosts Colgate at the Carrier Dome. The women are looking to stay unbeaten. Tip-off set for 7 o'clock. Friday, doing too much during the holidays can add a lot of stress to your life. You can register for practical tips about how to simply prioritize and plan ahead to help manage holiday stress online at wellness.syr.edu. And on Saturday, a doubleheader at the Carrier Dome. It's the men's turn to host Colgate. Tip-off for that one set at 2 o'clock. Then the women take on Drexel at 6 o'clock p.m.
That's all the time we have here on Mornings on the Hill. I'm Katie Benoit.
And I'm Monica Ortiz. Thanks for joining us this fall. We'll see you next semester here on the Orange Television Network. Thanks for watching and have a great winter break.